Chan has met with the visiting chief of the Swiss Armed Forces, Andrea Bladman, in Beijing. During the meeting on Tuesday, Chan said that he hopes both sides will pursue further cooperation, pointing to specific fields such as international peacekeeping and humanitarian operations. Bladman says the Swiss side attaches high importance to military ties with China and is ready to boost exchanges and strengthen pragmatic cooperation in various areas. Russia and the United States have agreed to continue cooperation in settling the Syrian crisis. U.S. President Barack Obama and Russian President Vladimir Putin met on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly held in New York City. Putin announced that the Kremlin would offer the U.S. and the coalition both ground and air forces to cooperate with the Syrian crisis. However, he also reiterated Russia's opposition against any external intervention into any country's domestic affairs. An airstrike that hit a wedding party in Yemen has killed 131 people, marking one of the deadliest attacks on civilians in Yemen's civil war. The Saudi-led coalition conducting airstrikes against Houthi rebels has denied responsibility for the bombing. Several missiles are said to have hit the wedding party. An anonymous official says at least 85 women and 12 children are among the dead, and scores of others have been injured. The U.S. Secretary General issued a statement on Monday to condemn the airstrikes. A transnational railway linking China and Singapore is a step closer to reality, with the start of construction on the section through Laos set for November. It is expected to take 5 years to complete the rail line. The project is expected to cost nearly $7 billion. The Laos section will eventually form part of a single rail network connecting China's Kunming city to Singapore via Laos, Thailand, and Malaysia. The rail is designed to boost regional trade in goods and services as part of the Road and Belt Initiative. China's top 3 major telecom operators will launch rollover data services on October 1st, meaning unused data at the end of the month will no longer just disappear. The operators will launch the service to all subscribers automatically. Since May of this year, the 3 operators have tested this kind of service within certain businesses and through a traffic data donation service. A shipwreck discovered last year near the port of Dandong has been confirmed as the G1, one of the warships of China's Beiyang fleet, and sunk by the Japanese during the First Sino-Japanese War 121 years ago. The find has been confirmed by archaeologists from the National Center of Underwater Cultural Heritage, based on examination of more than 100 items salvaged from the wreck. For CRI, I'm Wenjie.
This is People in the Know, a weekday forum for in-depth coverage of the news shaping China, the world, and your life.
The China-Australia Free Trade Agreement's legalization is at risk down under, as voices of objection keep coming from the country's opposition. The deal was signed more than 3 months ago in Canberra following a decade of negotiations. Under the deal, tariffs are to be lifted on 95% of Australian exports to China in 4 years. It will also make it easier for Chinese businesses to invest in Australia. But the deal, which some say will quote-unquote change both the two countries, the region, and the world for the better, is encountering resistance from Australia's Labour Party. So what are the concerns? Is there any possibility that the deal may be aborted? You are listening to People in the Know, presenting you with insights into headlines in China and around the world. I'm Brian Kopczynski in Beijing. For answers to these and other questions, my colleague Tuyun had the chance to sit down with Daniel Andrews, Premier of Australia's southeastern state of Victoria, during his recent trip to China. Mr. Andrews detailed the achievements made during his trip in the first half of their conversation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Andrews, for doing this interview with us. First of all, this is your first overseas trip, actually, as Premier of Victoria State. Why China?
Well, I wanted our first official visit since the election last year to be to perhaps our most important trading partner, with more than $20 billion worth of two-way trade and an almost limitless potential for growth in terms of investment, trade, in all the sectors that really make Victoria stand out. So in education, biotechnology, science and research, in international education, of course, tourism, together with things like our food and fibre sector, beef and dairy, wine, of course, and not to mention the very ambitious infrastructure agenda that my government has. I would welcome, and we've been very heartened by the significant interest throughout our trip. Chinese firms, both SOEs and private companies, very interested in being partners in our ambitious infrastructure agenda. It was an easy choice, really, for the very first trip to be to China, because we know we have many old and dear friends here, but also some very important prospects